This is the Motorola Moto G22 Disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the tray needs to be removed. Next, we need to apply heat to the back plate using a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use a plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. Here's a better look at the plastic back plate. There are 18 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Once the screws have been removed, we need to place a plastic pry tool in between the back housing and the frame of the screen and run it along the edges to pop off the catches. Once the back housing is loose from the frame, we need to lift it up slightly so we can disconnect the flex cable for the fingerprint scanner. The back housing is also made of plastic. The camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying them off. On the other side, there are antenna flex cables on the top and bottom. Now the graphite film over the shields and battery needs to be peeled off, and the graphite film helps transfer heat. At this point, the cable for the battery can be disconnected. Once the battery has been disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. There's a coaxial cable on the bottom right side of the board that needs to be disconnected by popping it off. There's copper tape covering the connector for the front-facing camera, which needs to be peeled off so we can disconnect and remove it. Here's a better look at the 16 megapixel front-facing camera. There are 2 Phillips screws which are holding down the main board that need to be removed. Now the main board can be lifted up and removed. On the main board, there's an 8 megapixel ultra-wide, a 50 megapixel primary, and a 2 megapixel macro and depth lens. None of the cameras have OIS or optical image stabilization. Also, the camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's a liquid damage indicator sticker, which is the white sticker on top, and the headphone jack is located on the top corner. The SIM card and memory card reader is located on the back, and the proximity sensor is located on the top corner. There's also thermal paste on the back shields. Once the removable shield on the back is taken off, there's more thermal paste underneath on the RAM, processor, and the chip over here. There's a single Phillips screw on the bottom speaker assembly that needs to be removed. Now the speaker assembly can be lifted up and removed. There's some graphite film to help transfer heat. And here's a better look at the speaker assembly. There's another Phillips screw which is holding down the subboard that needs to be removed. Next, the flex cable and coaxial cable need to be disconnected from the subboard. At this point, the subboard can be lifted up and removed. Taking a better look at the subboard, there's a liquid damage indicator, which is this white sticker. There's a rubber gasket around the charger port, and the primary microphone is located underneath the shield. Here's a look at the other side. In order to remove the battery, there are no pull tabs provided to help us pry it off, so we need to use some isopropyl alcohol and apply it to the sides of the battery and let it sit for about 30 seconds so it eats away at the adhesive underneath, making it easier to pry it off. Here's a better look at the 5000 mAh battery. Once the battery is removed, we can see the flex cable for the screen, which is routed through an opening in the mid-frame. This flex cable also connects the subboard to the main board via this connector over here. So if you need to replace your screen, you'd have to remove the back plate, and then you'd remove the screws in the back housing, peel off the graphite film, disconnect the battery cable and screen cable, pry off the battery, remove the screw on the speaker assembly and remove the speaker assembly itself, and then disconnect the flex cable on the subboard and the coaxial cable, remove the Phillips screw on the subboard and remove that subboard. Then you would have to heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply your new screen making sure you run the flex cable back to the openings in the mid-frame, and reassemble the phone. Moving on, the vibrator motor is located on the bottom corner and it's held down with some adhesive, and the same goes for the flex cable for the volume key and power button, which is located on the side. and the earpiece speaker, which is located on top. There's also one more liquid damage indicator sticker, which is the white sticker underneath the SIM reader on the frame. For the repairability score, I give this phone a 4.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply the back plate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.